Hello and welcome to Postgame Theory. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. Today, we're going to break down Toumani Camara, one of the more fun, breakout stories in the NBA this season. The Blazers have been this incredibly fun team over the course of the last couple of months, ever since they went on that big winning streak against some of the bad teams in the league. But even since then, they've actually been very competitive. If you look through their recent wins and losses and games like that, they played a tough 7-point loss to a streaking Detroit Pistons team. They were within a couple of possessions late against Golden State recently in a game. They went to overtime with the Knicks. They beat the ever-loving piss out of the Grizzlies and Denver recently. They were in a game with Boston into the fourth quarter, and then even against the Cavs, I felt like they were pretty competitive as well recently. And to me, Toumani Camara is one of the big reasons why that has been. Kamara has been one of the best defensive players in the league this year, just kind of point blank, but he's also really improved offensively. You look at the full season numbers, 11 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting 45, 37, 72. I think he's gotten better throughout the season. If you look at his last 30 games since the Blazers started to go on this little deep run that they're on, he's actually averaging 13 points, 6 rebounds, 2.5 assists while shooting 50, 42, 72. Some of this is just hot shooting. We'll kind of talk a little bit about some things that he has with the shooting that worry me a little bit, but we're going to just talk through Toumani Camara here in a game that, they played against the Boston Celtics, right? This was from March 23rd, so about a week ago from when you guys are going to be seeing this. Went for 19 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. Super impactful on defense. You'll see early in the game, gets his hands on a lot of balls. Late in the game, Boston is actively avoiding trying to have Jason Tatum matched up onto him, as we'll discuss. So let's just kind of dive in. Let's talk through Toumani Camara and talk through what's been so exciting about his season to this point. So Toumani Camara, for people who have not watched much of the Portland Trailblazers, we had to get moving here and get into the video a little bit before we saw him. He is number 33. He is a 6'7" to 6'8" with a 7-foot wingspan, real athlete who flies around on defense. I think that the pairing in the front court is the 3-4 combination position, along with Deni Avdija has just been this really, really fun, engaging duo because they're both really tough on defense. Kamara plays well off of Deni's kind of bully ball driving tendencies on offense. So what we're going to see here, we're going to get a drive from Shaedon Sharpe. Shaedon's going to hit the kick out. And now we're just going to see early on Kamara get into that 3-point shot. Let's erase the circle. This is just a normal corner lift, right? Nothing all that, enticing or exciting. Why do we have this corner lift become open? It's a ball screen. You can see here, you're going to get the Donovan Clingan dive to the rim. The defender here, Al Horford, is going to come over. He's going to be available to tag because Clingan is such a, 7'2" monster whenever he's able to kind of roll to the rim. He doesn't have a ton of vertical pressure, but he does have some real ability to catch and just power through people if necessary at times. I think this is probably a pretty aggressive tag personally off of Kamara, given the way he's been shooting, but they do it nonetheless. Sharpe picks up the ball here. I think he probably picks up the ball a little bit early, but I do think that he at least sees this pass. He sees that if he can get this ball over to Toumani, it's probably going to lead to good results. He has a beautiful little window here. Really, he can put this ball kind of anywhere in this vicinity, I would argue, and he's probably going to be fine. Nice, great big open passing window. Gets it to Kamara. I like Kamara's shot prep here. Pretty ready to shoot, given that it's a pass that he's kind of moving into toward his right. Left-handed shooter, so going toward your right, it's a little bit easier typically. Look at the bend here. Really sinks into the shot. You can see that he's really bending through that lower half. Getting some real power from that lower half. And I just like the way this ball comes out of his hands. You can see, you might be able to see a little bit tight that there's some side spin there. He kind of finishes out this way a little bit as opposed to finishing toward the basket and just toward the shot and toward the rim. But in general, I like the prep. I like how cleanly it comes out of his hand. I think it comes out with a really nice arc. We'll talk about release points and arcs a little bit with Kamara's shot. This is a good shot. I love it. So this one, Shaedon Sharpe coming through on a sideline out of bounds. We've got Kamara here. He comes up, flashes high. Going to get into a DHO. One of his assists, nothing crazy. Thought it was just kind of a fun set. Wanted to put it in. So inbound here to Klingon. Kamara is going to catch out high. And Shaedon's going to be coming off of almost like a double screened zoom. So typically a zoom would just be one screen into coming up for a dribble handoff here from Kamara. He's actually going to take two screens here, which is fun. He's going to get the Avdia screen. He's going to get the Klingon screen, and then he's going to come up. Just means that the defender here, Sam Hauser, or potentially Peyton Pritchard, if they switch it, going to be trailing even further. Potentially they switch it. So now you're getting the mismatch that you want. Shaedon just decides, okay, I'm going to pull up behind this screen. Cash. It's a fun set. Nothing too complicated, but I just like the idea there. Kamara gets an assist for it, so we put it on. But simple ideas. Now we've got Kamara on Jason Tatum. I think Kamara has been fantastic this year on the ball defensively. He is just very active, very strong, very physical. Even just small things here, right? So sometimes you're going to get beat. Sometimes it's going to be tough. But you can see that he's already trying to figure out, okay, I know that we're going to treat this like a side ball screen, right? Essentially, they're icing this. This is what Kamara's body position here is, where he gets out on the side of him. It's a good screen from Horford. Now he's stuck trailing. Really? Klingon just kind of has to be able to engulf him here. Instead, Klingon gets like completely turned. He turns his body this way. Shoulders go this way on the inside out, which means Tatum's just going to have a wide open lane. To me, this isn't really Kamara. This is more Klingon just kind of getting turned inside out. I think Kamara actually does a pretty good job with his positioning here. You know that he knows the scout. You know that he knows what he's looking at. You'd love to see him not get his clipped on the screen necessarily. But yeah, Klingon just gets absolutely turned around here. Would I love to see Shaedon Sharpe potentially rotate over here? Yes, but genuinely, this is just, if your big's going to get beat like this in a drop and in an ice situation, there's just not much you can do really. I mean, like Denny can like be here, but he's guarding like a 45% 3-point shooter in Sam Hauser. He really can't help here. Genuinely, if I'm Denny here, I might think that a late contest might be like a 60% shot here for Tatum, maybe a little bit more, maybe like 65. But if I leave Sam Hauser open, I mean, that's probably a 50 to 60% shot there if he's wide open from three like that. If Denny is even further in here trying to contest, I think it's probably better for him to stay at home. Don't help same side. Klingon just needs to be a little bit tighter. So here, Denny doing his bulldozer thing. I like this one. I like this drive. I like this play here from Kamara. This is something that I feel like he couldn't really do last year, frankly, and showcases real improvement. So Denny has been so good with these drives all year. He's going to Euro step. I like the way that he recognizes here that I think Tatum has lost track a little bit of where Kamara is. He kind of, if you saw a second ago, he kind of ball faked here and kind of made his eyes go there, which pushed Tatum up a little bit, which lengthened this closeout. Watch just this little minor move here from Denny. kind of brings Tatum out high here as opposed to a straight closeout here. Tatum feels like he has to like really recover to get back. He ends up getting kind of high here. Kamara sees it and he's able to drive. This is good. Denny kind of clears the space a little bit. Hauser, I think, should probably be helping here. Good footwork. Very simple straight line footwork here from Kamara. Gets all the way to the rim. Throws down off of 1 foot, right-handed, offhand. Really impressive. So this one, kind of a late shot clock situation. Going to get the ball out to Kamara. Again, drive. Tries to Euro. Tries to use that right hand. He's comfortable using the right. Whether or not it's always effective, open question. I like the pump fake here. He gets Horford in the air, forces him out. I like the way that he sees Pritchard come this way. So he's going to attack the way that Pritchard came, knowing that Pritchard isn't going to be able to plan on that right and get all the way back. Euros, keeps himself close to the rim. It's still a floater. It's still a tough shot. Ultimately misses. But you know what? I like the creativity there. I like the fact that he's getting to the right. I would like to see him make those shots more consistently. I think that's going to be a really critical thing for him moving forward if he's going to continue to attack closeouts in the way that he has recently, particularly. But in general, pretty fun play, pretty good. Just missed the shot. This one, I grabbed this one because I think you see some of the wavering release points that happen from time to time. So kind of a pin down here for Scoot to come up. Then I think we might flip the screen, right? Sort of. I mean, almost ends up being like a ghost here, where Kamara just lifts instead of resetting the screen. This one, you can kind of see his momentum's going backward a little bit at first. He does try to like really bend into it. But this one just doesn't have quite the same arc. It doesn't have quite the same trajectory. That says to me, probably held on to it just a split fraction of a second too long. Sometimes you're going to get just like a bit of a wavering release point with Kamara, but the shooting improvement this year has been drastic, right? Like he's up to 37%, career number now at 36% after a season last year where he was at 33%. He's taking more threes this year, which is really critical. I would like to see him up that volume from three even more. I think that he is capable of it at some point. He's still growing though, and this is a really important part of his game. So here, Kamara, again, screen, attack, into a little ghost dribble handoff action there. And again, you can almost see immediately, what am I going to say? Just the trajectory looks way better. I like the way that their offense is in motion here. So, kind of like a slip screen, slide screen here. Not really a slide, more of a slipped screen here from Kamara. He's going to come up, take this one, pump fake. Al Horford's just a terrific defender. You're not always going to get him on his toes like this. Kamara then kind of sets this little, ghost dribble handoff thing here. Scoot tries to attack. Feels that Al Horford here has come in to help. He's going to get it to Kamara. We don't really get to see the base here, unfortunately, but you'd see a little bit of it, right? What you do get to see is that he finishes high here. Whereas last time he finished a little bit flatter. This time he finishes very high with that left arm. Gets a much better trajectory, much better arc on the ball. Ball softly goes through the rim. That's kind of the key for me with Kamara, is just continuing to iron out that release point. The fact that he's this far along with it already in terms of consistency, I don't know if he's ever going to be like a 40% knockdown guy on real volume, but I trust that he can make 38% of his threes on 5 threes a game at some point in his career. He's already very, very close to that. So this, get a switch here. Kamara stuck on Al Horford. This is something that Kamara does about as well as anybody, is try to take charges. Has a lot of possessions this year where he's taken them. He's always looking to step up and take charges. That's just kind of who he is as a player. I can kind of grab the number while we're talking here in terms of, what the number of charges are that he's taken this year. I think he's damn near the league lead already. So charges drawn 29 this year, by damn near the league lead. I mean, he's leading everybody by 10 charges drawn this season. So Podziemski is in second right now with 19 charges drawn. Kamara has 29. Those are stops, like especially around the rim. Those should absolutely account for a player's like if you're accounting for Kamara's percentage around the basket, to me, that should account for Kamara's percentage dropping around the basket, because that's what these are. These are attempts around the rim that he is essentially stopping from being able to go down. This season, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are only 12 players that have taken 10 charges in the entire NBA. Kamara has taken 10 more charges than anybody else in the league. It's a huge, huge factor for him. It's part of what makes him such a special defender. This one, he gets called with a block, but he's constantly looking for them. He's constantly on the prowl, trying to figure out, okay, how can I do this? It feels like once or twice a game, he's always going to try and get to that spot and time that perfectly. This one on Jason Tatum. Screen here from Cornet. I just love the way he navigates this entire thing. This is not easy to navigate from Kamara. So you can already see he's trying to be physical with Tatum. You can see they're already tied up. Cornet gets him the ball. He gets clipped on this screen here even. This is a pretty good screen from Cornet. Tatum is now going to try and get back to the middle of the court, or going to try and go sideline. You can see he tries to go middle, and the reason he's going middle here is to try and cut off Kamara's angle in recovery. He does a pretty good job here keeping Kamara on his hip. Kamara is feeding him to Dwop Reith. And now you're essentially playing chess. Kamara understands, okay, I basically have to peel momentarily here onto Cornet. That means Reith is going to have to take Tatum. But I'm watching and seeing, okay, if he just turns the corner on Reith, I have to keep body position here on Cornet. I can't let Cornet, you see how he boxes Cornet out here even, gets lower than Cornet? He knows he can't let Cornet get on this side of him, because if he does, Cornet's going to be able to seal him as he goes to the rim, or it's going to be a lob because the offensive players got behind him. This is just like a really small little thing here, but just even getting into his body like this, stopping the roll essentially, and also allowing himself to be an active help defender is what completely makes this play. So now he's there and he's able to block this shot from Tatum. This is about as well as you can do it to me. Just soak it in. This is about as good as you can do this. Blocks the shot. Possession doesn't end, but that's not his fault. He needs to rely on his teammates to be able to make that play, get that rebound. That's about perfect. It's about as good as you can do it against an absolute superstar, first team, all NBA guy in Jason Tatum. So this one, we're just going to get into a three. Again, what are we going to notice? Finishing high. This one kind of has to step into it, going to his left, momentum like slightly going this way. As you can see, they're still in this lineup, like not really trusting him all that much as a shooter. They have Luke Cornet on him. They've been guarding him with Al Horford throughout the game. I think that's a bad idea. I think that at this point, he's a good enough driver and is a good enough shooter to where I would prefer a non-big on him. Like I would prefer the big just on Reith. I understand that the Celtics defensively like to have the center be the help man, especially against teams that play 5 out like this lineup is. I think Kamara is a little bit too good of a shooter to have a big just like sagging in the paint, even with as good as Cornet is getting out and recovering out to the 3-point line. This set here is interesting as well. You can see Cornet is calling out. I think that Cornet is almost thinking that this is going to be like a Spain. I think they might be pre-switching this maybe. And Cornet might be saying to Tatum, as soon as Duop pops, go up and guard him. So let's just run through that one more time. So you can see Cornet there point. He sees the screen coming. I don't know if he's worried about it like being like a stack where Kamara is going to come up and then, Reith's going to come out or what. But he's essentially treating this like a pre-switch here. And I feel like they kind of get a little bit confused here, Tatum and Cornet, on what the plan is, because nobody's really guarding Reith. Nobody's really guarding Kamara. Regardless, leads to an open shot. And again, the arc is the key. You can almost tell immediately when Kamara's shots are going to be close or go in or when they're not. This one, great arc, up and in, very simple. So here, slip action. This is one where he's probably just got to be able to finish, right? I like the basketball feel here. He feels Cornet come out this high and just decides to go. I'd imagine that this is just a flow action. This is not, him feeling like, I'd imagine this is not something that like Chauncey Billups or somebody on the sideline calls. I think he just feels that Cornet's too high and he just slips. What he has to do here is one of two things. He can do what he did and get to the left, get to his strong hand and finish, or he sees Baylor Shireman coming from the weak side, needs to kick it out to Shaedon Sharpe. I'd probably just prefer him to kick it out to Shaedon here personally. I think that is a more, probably a higher point per possession shot, given that he has to like go kind of around the rim here to finish. He does get fouled. You can see the ref here calls that Cornet hits him in the head. So he does kind of get bailed out here. To me, you have two options here. You can't rely on Cornet bailing you out, in my opinion. You can even see Kamara's head kind of like tilt this way a little bit. I think it's got to be a kick out or it's got to be a finish here. You can't rely on Cornet just like bumping you and getting the foul drawn. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. On Prize Picks, you can mix and match player projections from different sports. You can combine your favorite basketball players with players from baseball, with college basketball players, with whoever you want to pick to go over or under their points, their goal total, their RBI total for the day. Whatever you want to do, you can do it at Prize Picks. We love Prize Picks here at Game Theory because of how easy they make it to get real money sports action. The second half of the basketball season is here. The NBA playoffs are just weeks away, and it's really, really exciting because it gives you ample opportunity to sit down and to get some real money action on the games. If you think LeBron is going to go crazy here as the Lakers try to get rolling here into the playoff push, if you think Giannis is going to have to go bonkers now with Damian Lillard out of the lineup in order to get the Bucks over the line, you can cook up the hot takes with your friends and you can win real money this basketball season when you and your crew run your game on Prize Picks. Look, we love Prize Picks here. really important sponsor for us. We adore them. Please go sign up and download that app today. Use the code Game Theory to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use the code Game Theory to get $50 instantly when you play that first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. This year, there is nothing holding you back from loving your hair again. Hair is so much more than what you see on the surface. It is a reflection of what's happening inside. Let Nutrafol target the key root causes of your thinning hair and help you grow stronger, healthier strands from within. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. Thinning hair is different for everyone, so a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth, it just doesn't cut it. Nutrafol has multiple formulas for men and women that are tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you can get what you need when you need it. It's physician-formulated, 100% drug-free ingredients, and it supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting key root causes of thinning, from stress to hormones to aging to nutrition, lifestyle, metabolism. It uses a whole body theory to be able to help your thinning hair, and you can start your hair growth now with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter that promo code Game Theory. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code Game Theory. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Game Theory. So now Kamara is on Baylor Shireman here. Just the activity, right? Like he forces this turnover just with this timely dig as much as anything. So on Shireman, JD Davison's going to drive. Kamara is going to come in and understand, all right, I'm going to kind of stunt dig this and then shoot out to Baylor Shireman, who's a real shooter. Basically, he's trying to trick Davison into getting this pass out, I think. He's not going to get a steal for that, but he forced that turnover. It's good work. Now, again, just beautiful weak side rim protection instincts. I like the way that he communicates through this with Shaedon Sharpe on the weak side. Watch Kamara and Sharpe here on the weak side. They're going to run like a little exchange. Shireman's going to come through. Shireman's going to come through. Pritchard's going to go up. Kamara, as the low man, tells Shaedon stay, literally puts his hand on his hip, says, no, stay high, stay high. I think he's recognizing immediately that this is an open lane and that he might need to be available as the low man, and he trusts himself to be available as the low man better because he's just a more active, engaged defender than what Sharpe is. It's really Sharpe's, main concern at this point is being available on defense. But this, the timing here is just elite. Goes up and gets this shot from Al Horford. Can't do it better than this. Weak side rotation, jumps, goes up, gets it. Left hand swat on the right hand layup. It's perfect. Beautiful rotation. Can't do it better than that. This one, now you're just going to get to see the on-ball defense real quick. Just very active, jumps to the ball, very, very hard, and then able to just stay in front after the jump to the ball. Now, you see the screen get out there. Pritchard's going to come around. Shireman's going to clip Scoot here. And just the way that Kamara fights through this little elevator doors action, because that's really what it is. It's like a DHO elevator doors set. Sort of an elevator door set. He's coming around the screen as opposed to through it, which is the more traditional elevator. Really, you're closing the elevator doors here on the defender, which is the key. But he's able to kind of knife his way through this here and at least get like something of a contest. Pretty good. Pretty sharp on defense. Again, another defensive possession. This time he's the low man. I grabbed this one just because I would like to know more about what exactly the plan is here. So he is guarding Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser is a 45% three-point shooter. If you leave him open, probably more than that, probably 50 if he's open. I think that he is so worried here about this mismatch with Scoot and Jason. You can see him trying to communicate to his teammates, hey, we've got this here with Scoot and Jason. I'm going to come over here and be the help man. We're now going to have 3 defenders for 4 Boston players because I have to come over and double. He realizes that Scoot's going to get beat. He sees Tatum pick up the ball here and he's immediately searching. Like you can see his eyes like start looking, okay, where do I need to get to? Where do I have to go? What Tatum does here, I think, is a good job of kind of freezing Anthony Simons really quickly. He looks corner. You can see his head is looking more toward the corner here. So that stops Simons here, which leaves Pritchard open. Then Simons has to get the long closeout. Then Kamara has to get the long closeout to Hauser. The problem here is that I think he probably just overhelps a step here on what is, I think what he's thinking is a weak side help because he's the low man now. So this makes him the low man. He's guarding this corner. This is a screen here. Pritchard coming downhill. Theoretically, he probably does have to tag here. And then he kind of realizes, oh shit, Hauser has lifted. I'm a little bit too far. And that leads to an open 3. Now, to me, what I would like to see here a little bit more of, and, you know, I'm not totally absolving Kamara of this, but on some level, what the like great defensive teams do, you will see Boston do this, you'll see Dallas do this, is kind of peel these a little bit where it's like, okay, Scoot now is going to take Pritchard driving in. They're going to switch this. Even so, I think that that's probably the right thing because I think that you just switch it in Simons because of the way that Tatum spaces out here. Simons has to go this way and it leaves the long closeout. Yeah, this is good work from Boston on some level, but like, yeah, really, Toumani probably just loses track of Hauser a little bit too far here. You can see Pritchard literally see Kamara step in there and then look out to Hauser. Steps in here. You can literally see Pritchard's head in the process of turning here. This is what makes shooting so difficult. If you have to guard more space, makes life very hard. So this one, just a beautiful kick out. What am I going to say here? So, again, weak side leaves Kamara open. This is about as simple as it gets. Sinks deep into the shot. I think this is a bit of a late release. I think he finishes out here. You can see his arms going out as opposed to higher, which is the way he was finishing before. And you can see how that affects the trajectory. It's just a smidge flatter. It's just a bit flatter and it back rims. So the consistency in terms of the shooting, it's there insofar as like he can be a 37% 3-point shooter on low volume, but there's real room for growth here. He has enough touch to be, 38, 39 on 5 threes a game, I think. Like that won't blow my mind if that happens. Because it's just little stuff that he can clean up as he continues to learn how to shoot threes. This one, this is the dirty work stuff that he just does all the time that I love. This one just creates an extra possession out of nowhere. He is beyond the 3-point line here. Just wedges himself in here. Bumps Pritchard this way. Now he's going up against a 7-footer and Luke Cornett. Contests it. Ball goes off Cornett. Extra possession. Now this is that extra possession. Quick pass out to Simons. Okay, now we're just going to get another extra possession, right? We're going to go create a second extra possession. Simons. Off the quick pass here, by the way. I love the processing. Again, Tatum comes off. Kamara feels 2 defenders coming this way. Quick reversal up to the real shooter in Simons. You'd expect him to make that, but even so, Kamara's engaged, available, gets the tip out. Kamara is responsible for those 3 points on that possession, right? He created the extra possession on the Cornett one originally, created the extra possession on the tip out to Simons. You just can't do it better than that. Active and engaged. He had 3 offensive rebounds in this game. He just creates extra possessions for your team. And then this one now gets the early screen against Tatum. Not totally sure why I grabbed this. You do see Reith calling it out. He just recognizes it a bit late. I like the fight back here to get back into this play. Probably wouldn't like to see him get screened that early though. Now this one defensively, you can just already see the hand fighting with Tatum, just bumping him, making sure that he knows he's there. Now we're on the block. Contest. What I liked about this one and why I put it on here is just look at the body work with the lower half, right? Watch he and Tatum here with their lower halves. Tatum is trying to get his touch here. He wants it in the post. And yes, Derek White throws this pass a little bit too far. But then watch him push him out just that little extra step further, right? I think Tatum could probably catch this pass here and plant here. Instead, because Kamara is there and is available, he pushes him out to that like 20-foot mark, right? And that's just way more difficult. to be able to shoot from. Faces him up, jabs him, misses the shot. Now this one, another just little like ghost. You know, this one perfect. This one, I think he does finish forward again a little bit instead of finishing high. But the thing I do really want to call out with him is just the shot prep. The way that he gathers his feet is just terrific. The way that he gets his feet down, gets all the pups organized. He's kind of leaning this way. But this is a pretty good touch shot to me. Drills it. Now, 4 minutes left in the third. Goes under the screen here. Gets back over the top. Gets the contest. I'm sure they have rules in terms of, okay, if the screen is set 30 feet, 35 feet away from the rim, we go under. He goes under. Crosses over. Cornet realizes, tries to flip the screen, but just watch the way that Kamara fights around the screen here as Cornet tries to flip it. It's not a great contest, but it's something that at least makes Tatum know he's there, which is big. Again, just that little screen. I mean, this is stuff that I adore. I love. This is just the little stuff that makes you know that this guy is a winner. He is going to be a part of winning basketball teams at a really high level. So here, slips it, rolls. Instead of just hanging out or vacating out to the wing, what does he do? He wedges his man out here in Tatum so that Tatum isn't going to be able to come and help. That's a perfect seal. Seals Tatum out high. Then he misses, and look who's right there. Because he's essentially boxed out Tatum, look who's right there to clean it up. With Kamara, it really is just like the little body work things. Like it's not, he doesn't have a crazy complicated game, but the attention to detail is elite. It is so good. This one, you know, right place at the right time, right? Nothing that he does here really. He's just there to get the ball and lead the break. But quick early pass out to Scoot. Misses. Leads to a sharp throwdown for sure. But I like the early headman here. I think he's thinking it's a tic-tac-toe situation. Boom to boom immediately for Sharp to catch a lob. It really just depends on what Derek White's going to do here. Derek White sinks. Because White sinks, Sharp starts to go to the corner, I think. Then White gets back out. You know, the ridiculous two-hand contest, and then Sharp's just going to come and do the Shaden Sharp thing. 13-point game with 3 minutes left. It's not dead, but, you know, we're entering that zone. Kamara here on Tatum. They try to force the switch with Tatum. This one here, again, now Tatum bringing the ball up the court. Still 13. Now 2 minutes left. What are we doing? We're trying to get Kamara off of Tatum. Switch. Now you got Simons on him. They did a lot in this game to really try to avoid that Toumani Camara and Jason Tatum matchup, which says to me that Toumani's probably a pretty good defender. Tatum went for 30 points in this game, but it took him 24 field goal attempts on 1 for 7 from 3, and he had to take 7 free throws to get there. It's not great. It's not awesome. He had a 55 true shooting percentage. That's pretty low, right? Especially in a game where The Blazers are going to give up 129 points. It's not ideal. This one, again, just constantly out there, constantly running, constantly just trying to make extra things happen. That dunk's just such a great encapsulation of what Toumani Camara does. I will have him on an all defense ballot. I don't have a vote. Please, NBA, hook me up. But I will have him on an all defense ballot. I do feel pretty good about that. He's been awesome at getting stops. He makes life really hard for opposing offensive players. I wouldn't even say this was one of his better defensive games. And you still see him end up with a couple of steals, couple of blocks, couple of tough contests. Just really, really good stuff. Really excellent game from Kamara. I loved everything we saw from him. I just love everything that he is doing this season. And like I said, it's a very simple game. It's a very simple game that he plays. Great with body work. Makes his open threes. And oh, by the way, he's on one of the absolute best contracts in the NBA moving forward. He is making, for the next, I believe, 2 years after this one, he's slotted in at 2.2 in 2025-26 and 2.4 in 2026-27. I'll be interested to see if they try to extend him this year on like a cheap, Herb Jonesy, Austin Reevesy kind of Arenas Ruley kind of deal. Could you get him 4 years and, $50 million with a player option or something? Really only gets you 1 extra year at a cheap number. Do you let him go to restricted free agency though next summer? I think that's probably a little bit more dangerous, honestly. You could extend off of the 2025-26 number too. It's probably where I would start my negotiations if I was Portland. Say, hey, we'll give you 2 extra years at the 13 number. But if I'm him, I say no, I would rather just hit restricted free agency. I'll be interested to see if Kamara is on potentially even like $11 million to $14 million next season already, because he's well worth it. He's well worth the price tag. Whatever they're able to get him at is an underpay. And really the goal for the Blazers at that point is you're probably not going to have him at that 2.4 number in 2026-27 because that's a team option and you want to keep him restricted. But is it worth potentially the extra 2 years that you could get on the extension at the cheap number as opposed to the, having him at $2 million for next year? I think it probably is. I would really like to extend him if I was the Blazers, but we'll see if they're able to do it. It'd be like 3 years, 40, 45, somewhere in that ballpark if they could do it. I don't know though. We'll see if they're able to do it. We'll see. If I was him, I'm very excited with my season. It's hard to turn down real guaranteed money though. Actually might be a little bit more than that he's able to get. I think it is a little bit more than that now. Might even be like up to 17 or 18 or so now that I think about it. Regardless, I think I'd probably try to extend him this summer and just lock him in at like a real number. If you have him and Deni Avdija together making something like, 30 million, when guys like Paul George are going to be making 60 million and other teams have, players taking up such a substantial portion of their cap, you get these two guys that are going to be great players on winning basketball teams for like 30 to, $35 million a year. It's a massive win moving forward for the Blazers. The two things that they have absolutely nailed beyond question in this build under Joe Cronin, all of the guys that they hired, including Mike Schmitz, getting Toumani Camara in the Damian Lillard deal, along with DeAndre Ayton, in trading for Deni Avdija. Those are the two things that I think have completely turned this rebuild into something that's like a little bit more exciting to me now moving forward. That's all we got. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. This has been Post Game Theory. We'll be back with another one of these later this week, and I'm going to record a few of these for while I'm out in the United States, traveling, seeing players, things like that. Until next time, we'll talk soon.